Good morning, Book 2. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. And I thought I would do another tag to celebrate that it's the month of holidays. Christmas for Christians. And for people that are Jewish, it's Hanukkah. And I don't know who celebrates Kwanzaa. I guess people that are, I don't know who celebrates Kwanzaa off the top of my head, like who are the, but anyway, so I thought I would do the Christmas cookie book tags. I knew there was one out there somewhere. I was thinking about it the other day, so I did a search this morning and I found it. It's created by Ordinary Reader. She's a person I just subscribed to. So, there, as you guys know how these things work, there's a set of questions you answer with books. Okay, so let me do what I usually do and call it up so I can see the questions. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna but shrink this a little bit so you guys can see my beautiful face. I know I should have done this earlier. Okay. So, question number 1 is chocolate chip cookie. The cookies that's comforting in any season. Name an old favorite. And actually, I chose one that is the same answer as the creator of this tag, because it's also coincidentally one of my favorites, childhood favorites. And that is the Velveteen Rabbit. Unfortunately, unlike her, I don't have all. This is the only copy I have, but this is created. This was written by Marjorie Williams, and illustrations by Donna Green. Now I'm wondering if this was if the reprint is different from it was different artist illustrator than the original. I would have to look that up because I actually have a book, a historical fiction version of the story of the mother and daughter team who created this novel. So I don't know because and apparently I don't remember what it said on the back description. I'll have to grab it. But I know there was something let me go get it actually, because it wouldn't be that. I don't think it would be that hard for me to grab. I think it might be around here. Let's see, where is it? I know I have it around here somewhere. It might not be here actually. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. It's right there. Okay, review Johnny Depp, or not Johnny Depp, it's actually just Jack. My Jack Funko Pop. Okay, here it is. Okay, so no, these. So actually, it might be a different. Either that, or they changed the name, or it might be a different person who created this copy's illustrations. But oh, okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's the daughter's. The author's daughter was a child prodigy. And she has depression, an overbearing father, an obsessive love affair, and spectacularly misguided marriage. Okay, so I know there was stuff in there, the description that made her, that the daughter's life was not, she had a lot of problems in her life. You're on something, but that's, so, a book, a fictionalized version of the creation of this novel, which I think is really, or not, I guess it's on this book, which I thought was really cool. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I gotta grab that." So this is when I actually bought it at the used bookstore. But anyway, so this is my answer, a favorite of mine. I love this, and this was actually a gift from my aunt and uncle when I was little. I remember. I love the illustrations, so it's too bad it's not the same. It's too bad it's not the same artist. I would have loved to see the daughter's illustrations. And I'll be right back. My dog is scratching as usual. Come on. No, you are not getting in this chair before me. Oh, I meant to put this in there. I meant to put this guy in there. Can you see? You can't see him. I'll just hold him. You smell like outside, rascal. I meant to have the snowman in there. I don't know where to put him so you guys can see him. Oh, there. Perfect. You can see him there. The cute little snowman beanie buddy, or as my nephew calls it, the Merry Christmas. Apparently, my sister said that every time he sees Santa or snowman or something, he says, "It's Merry Christmas," and he thinks that's the name of it. It's so cute. Oh, really, rascal? He loves my Papasan chair, and a couple times it's when he jumps out of it, it falls over. That, I guess it happened at some point yesterday, maybe when my dad and I came home from when he was picking me up. But anyway, back to the tag. Okay, so question number 2, biscotti, which I've never really cared about biscottis. I mean, when I've tried them, they were okay. They're good, nothing wrong with them. I just never I've never really put in the effort to eat them. But the cookie that is tough to bite into, but totally worth the effort. A book that was difficult for you to get into, but you're so glad you stuck it through to the end. And I went ahead with a classic that I just read in 2000. I finished it in 2018, but I started at the end of 2017. Oh wait, no, I started at the end of at the halfway point to sometime in 2018, and I think, well, maybe I don't remember, but I know I started it in a different year and took a break from it and then came back to it and finished it in a year later. I just know that's what I ended up doing, something like that. So I'm not even 100% sure if it was that, but this is Crime and Punishment. It's a Russian classic. So I actually, and I think I told the story before on here, that what got me interested in it was because of my, we used to go to the trivia nights at my work, because it's we have a bar in the store, and the woman who originally hosted it, because it's a different woman now, although she's probably a teacher too, but yeah, the woman who hosted was a teacher, and one of the questions had, this was the answer, and I remember she talked about how much she really enjoyed this book, how much she loved it, and finally that's kind of what pushed me to check out the book. I sometimes have weird reasons why I check out books, just by hearing about a book, even outside of BookTube or Goodreads sometimes. And I'm not talking recommendations, because like I said, I'm weird about when people directly tell me specifically to check out something like a TV show or a book. Then I'm probably not gonna check it out, or if I do, it will take me a long time before I check it out. But it's different on BookTube because they're not directly talking to me. I'm choosing to watch their video, so they're talking to everybody that watches their videos. So that's a little different for me. Because there's no pressure to check out the book or the TV show or the movie. And, because they're not talking specifically, they're not telling me. Now, I know that when people recommend stuff to you, it's not like they're saying, you have to watch this. I mean, they might say it in a kind of like an excited way or a jokey kind of way that, oh, you should watch this or you have to watch it. And I know that, but sometimes I still feel that little bit of, like, it's almost like I'm rebellious, like, well, because you tell me to watch it, I'm not going to watch it. You say that you think I should watch it, well, you know what, I'm not going to watch it. Just because you say I have to watch it doesn't mean that I'm going to. I think that's kind of the mentality I have in my head, even though I know that's not the case. I mean, my friends aren't saying you have to watch this, or my parents aren't saying you have to watch this, that it's just that. But anyway, back to the tag. And like I said, I think part of my problem sometimes is certain books, I read them at bad times, which I think a lot of booktubers have come across situations like that where it's all about timing when you read a book in some cases. And I think I started this when there was too many distractions. Like, I started reading this while I was at the trivia. And, of course, I was reading it during times when they weren't asking questions and we weren't trying to figure out the answers together as a team. I was reading it then. Or if it was a question that I had I couldn't really, there's no point in me contributing because I wouldn't know. I would come but have any idea. So I would read it then. So I think that was just because we were at the store, so there was that sort of steady form of noise in the background, so it was a bit distracting. And then, once the time is up for us to discuss and try to figure out the answer, then there would, it was just too many distractions. Like, there's some books I definitely probably should not bring with me to when I go to, like, visit my sister. Like, a book like this, I should not bring it with me when I go to visit my sister, because there's other times where there's just too many distractions. But either way, I'm so glad this has become one of my favorites. I think this is and I was so engaged in the story, I kept wondering what was going to happen. How are things going to work out for these characters? I just had to know, so I kept going, and I was, like, so engaged in the story, and I'm so glad I kept going with it, and that, or at least actually technically say, I'm glad I came back to it, because I took a really long break before I started reading it again. I don't know why I love these Barnes & Noble paperback editions. They're not that pretty. They're really just with the picture, like a painting or a photograph picture on the cover, and they're all different colors, and it's like there's nothing special. It's not like pretty. It doesn't have like flowers on it or anything like that. Like some of those cloth bound or leather bound editions. The traditional leather bound books aren't usually. Don't always, it's not like they have a design on them. Sometimes they might have an engraving on them or whatever you call it. But for some reason I guess because I like the colors, how they're all different colors. Which I talk about that a little bit in a video about, like, my books that are aesthetically pleasing me or something along those lines. I can't remember what I called it. Okay, so question number 3, sugar cookies, a cookie that comes in all shapes and sizes. Give a diverse recommendation. I had a lot of trouble with this one. Cause I don't want to say, I would feel like, I don't want to say I don't read diversely, cause I always try to, but I just, like, all the books I've read, like, the books I'm interested in so far have been mostly, and maybe that doesn't, hopefully that says more along the lines of what's being published rather than than me. But I am trying to be more diverse. I am definitely trying to put in the effort of being more diverse. But my priorities are more, does the book interest me? Is it engaging? Like, do I like the plot? Is it my kind of genre? Like, I'm not focusing on trying to read things because, ooh, I better read that because it's diverse. But, like, there's, like, books like, The Fifth Season, which I feel like is diverse. Oh, and I did read Children of Blood and Bone, but I didn't buy that one. Although, now that I've heard that they're gonna make the series into a movie, I believe. Like my mom watches the Good Morning America, and they were on there. They were reading the sequel, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, I think it's called. They're reading that for their book club on that channel, on that news show, morning news show. And then yesterday they interviewed Tomi Adeyemi. So that made me even more motivated to read it, actually. Because, I mean, I was interested in it because I liked the first book. I thought it was a really cool concept. But I don't have the book in my possession, in my collection. I just got it from the library. So I don't really have a lot of, and I haven't read the other diverse one I was thinking of was, I wonder if you count Jane Steele as a diverse. Where is it? There was one I was just thinking, oh yeah, the 5th season, I mentioned the 5th season, I do have it here, but I haven't read it yet. I think I'm gonna bring it with me though, when we go visit my grandma for Christmas, for it's Fantasy-a-thon, created by the Book Pusher. She created, and one of her challenges is read a diverse fantasy, so I was thinking about that one for a diverse fantasy. But I do have an answer here, and that is, oh, I guess I could have done that series. I just realized there's another series that I'm answering for another question that I probably could use too. But, I ended up choosing Blood of Elves, and I know it's not really that diverse, but it's diverse for me because it's a translated work, and it's a fantasy translated work. And the writing style, I feel like, is a little diverse. Because because it's from another country, it's a translated work. So the writing is different. Like, what they consider good writing in that country is not the same as what is considered, like, the way it's written. It has a lot of what, in here in America, looks like run-on sentences. Where's the other from? I can't remember. So it's not really that diverse. But it's a little different. Like, the writing style, and a lot of blurbs on here say it's a breath of fresh air in a well-worn genre, so it's a little different it's a little different from other fantasies. Of course, some people probably would disagree because it has, like, it's based on fairy tales, and, you know. But like I said, it's out of the ones I've read, although actually I haven't finished this particular one, but I'm very close to finishing it. Actually no, it looks like I'm more on the halfway point. But this is one I definitely need to get. I wanted to get this done because I think the TV series comes out on the 20th. But it's also going to be it's going to be on Netflix, so it's a streaming thing. So I could just focus on reading the first 2 books, and then even if I don't finish them before the show comes, it's not like it's going to go away, or it's not like with you can only watch it when it comes on. But I do also realize that my DVR holds a lot of episodes when you record a series, because I used to, our old DVR before we moved here, could only hold up to 5 episodes. Our old DVR system, and this is the one system we have now, can hold a lot of episodes, which is really awesome, because sometimes you're just not in the mood to watch it just yet. And sometimes shows, like the older shows that are just doing reruns, sometimes they show like 3-4 episodes in one day. So, you know. So basically it's kind of nice to have that. So I could technically, so I'll probably, even if I don't finish this, or even get to the second book, I think I'll be okay. And I could just watch the show after I read these first 2 books. But yeah, this is really the best I could do at the moment for the answer to this question. Hopefully by next year, or at some point, even if it's not next year, that when I do this question again, this tag again, I'll actually have a better answer than that. Like I said, for me, it's not about, oh, I better read this book because it's diverse, or, oh, it's diverse, so I'm going to read this book. You know, it's just more, do I like the plot? Is it my kind of book? You know? So yeah, this is the best, so unfortunately this is the best I could do for diversity. Okay, so question number, that was sugar cookies. It's one of my favorite cookies. Although it's not, there's a question about what your favorite Christmas cookie is, and that's actually not gonna be my answer. But, okay, the next one is peanut butter blossoms. The underdog cookie that eventually became a Christmas favorite. Name a character that slowly but surely grew on you. First I want to say about this, I think the peanut butter blossoms are the cookies with, they're peanut butter and they have a little Hershey kiss in the middle. Is that a peanut butter blossom? I'm not sure. I have to look it up. I'll look it up after I finish filming this. And if I'm right and that's what the peanut butter blossom is, then yep, I really love those cookies. I like those cookies. Okay, so, I need to pick a character that slowly or surely grew on me, and this is another one I had a hard time with. But I ended up picking Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. This is like another classic that I read, but it took me a long time to read it, and I did attempt to start reading it again. I will at some point. It was one of these things where all of a sudden that night I had the desire to read this book. And so I was like, oh, Terry, do you want to read this as our, buddy read together, Terry Johnson? And she did say yes, but, we ended up never really progressing on it. Like, I did start it, but, her, she's a slower reader than I am, so I was, I didn't have, as much as I love this book, I didn't have any reason to, get back to it. So I do want to reread it again because I did love it. But anyway, Scarlett is a horrible human being. She is selfish and a bit vain, but she's also very much ambitious. She's definitely a Slytherin. She's someone who will do whatever she has to survive and to take care of things. But she's also, she tried to steal Ashley from Melanie because she loved him. And then what's kind of sad is that at some point in the book, when she has started to grow as a character and become a better person, or, you can tell that she's kind of starting to learn, or at least her priority isn't to get Ashley back, but she's caught in a bit of a compromising position as she's hugging him, because they're just talking and stuff, and the relative of Melanie's family, like mom and sister-in-law, I think, see that, yep, Daddy's home, rascal. See them embracing, so they misinterpret that. But lucky for Scarlett, Melanie doesn't believe that. She would never believe ill will of Scarlett. But anyway, actually she's another character. Melanie is another character that kind of grew on me after a while, because she's such a good, moral, very sweet and almost in an annoying way, like an irritating kind of way, and I almost want to shake her and be like, Scarlett is so mean to you, and she's trying to steal your husband from you, and but at the same time, I've thought about it, and I've come to realize that, you gotta give the girl, Melanie, her props, because my dad just came home, so rascal is asking to be let out. That's one of the reasons why my videos are so long, because one, I bring them, but also, you know, the dogs will ask to come in and out of my room. Or they'll start barking at the window. What's outside the window? But anyway, okay. So, but she is such a, Melanie's actually is a kind person, and, you know, you gotta give her props for, like, as naive as it seems, thinking about it now, it's like, well, you know, I mean, it's a kind of amazing that she is the only person who actually is kind to Scarlet, doesn't judge her, and would never believe anything bad about her. And that's gonna be a pretty strong person to be, you know, see past Scarlet's selfishness and nastiness. Although, you know, at the same time, it's like, at the same time, you just kind of pity her. It's like, girl, open your eyes. I mean, Scarlet, you know, she puts on quite a performance, but, I mean, I guess it's easier for me to see as the reader. But then everyone else, they realize that Scarlet's a selfish person. Doesn't care about anyone. But, so, yeah, I've changed my mind about her character. She's still not my favorite, but I definitely like her a little bit more, and thinking about it, kind of understand her a little bit better. And now, as for Scarlet, you know, she's the first top mean-spirited character that I actually just totally fell for. I mean, she's a horrible human being, but she's also such a fascinating human being, and such an engaging woman. You just want to know more about her, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it that well. Why? Because I mean, there are some people I think that would be like, I guess it's the same with Wuthering Heights, where it's like, there are people that hate the book, and are like, why would you like that book? I mean, no one is likable in that story. I mean, even Nellie Dean, sometimes her motives can be selfish. But, or she can, or not, or that she can be a little bit manipulative. Or maybe that's the wrong word. But, so I guess it's kind of the same thing as I love people like myself love those like books like that. I mean, like, the book Wuthering Heights kind of reminds me of, it's like when you like see there's a traffic accident, like a car crash or something, and you just can't help, you have to stop and stare at it. And that's what I feel like Wuthering Heights is, and that's what I feel like with Scarlet, too. I mean, she's such a car wreck of a character. She's horrible, and she's mean, doesn't understand why she can't just, you know, why her and Ashley are never meant to be, and thinks that she can just take him from Melanie, because Melanie's kind of I don't want to say weak, but a very, like, naive character, a naive person. In fact, Melanie is probably Hufflepuff. Melanie Wilkes is definitely Hufflepuff. And I wonder if you could say that about Ashley, because he doesn't. Yeah, I guess both Melanie and Ashley are Hufflepuffs. I don't know, I have to think. Wow, Red and Scarlet are so Slytherins. But I should do that, though. I would love for I don't know if I've ever seen that, but, like, look at characters from classic literature or older literature, and put them in Hogwarts houses. But yeah, so I picked the characters from Gone with the Wind. I mean, this whole book, you know, is like, I could see not everybody loving this book. Okay, so finally, thanks to that long-winded question and answer, I'm gonna go with the next question. Finally, I'm gonna get to question number 5, Snickerdoodles, one of my favorites. The cookie with the name that you can't say without smiling. Name a book that made you laugh or smile. Okay, so I picked 3, actually. 2 of them are 2 of my library books I got. Okay, so okay, so the first one is the Mork and Crow series. This is the first book. And just the whimsiness of the world and the eccentricities of this world that our main character goes to are just so amusing. And then, of course, you're dealing with 12-year-olds. And 12-year-olds can be just so, like, ridiculous at times and silly, and you just, because they are still kind of starting to grow, and they have different insecurities than adults, and they can be very immature at times. I can't wait until my nephews. I don't want to rush them, but I'm very excited to see what they'll be like as they get older. But like I said, I don't want to rush it. Yeah, it's just the whimsy of it's just the amusingness of the characters, and there's a talking giant cat in this, it's just, middle grade just has this ability to make you smile. Some of these middle grade books, particularly the fantasy ones. Okay, the other two are library books, and these are actually one of them is part of a trilogy, not a series. And then the other one is part of a series. And I haven't actually read these, but I didn't have the other ones, the first ones. Okay, so we have I don't know what this I guess the Crazy Rich Asian series. This is the second one. And this is so I'm just reading one of these blurbs, and it compares it to Downton Abbey. And I don't understand it says, makes even Downton Abbey look more like a Downton Arrive visit. Is that like an Italian version of, I don't know, I'm confused by that. I think I understand, I think I get what they're trying to say. But anyway, so in case you don't know, this is a trilogy about these two college professors, Rachel and Nick. They've been dating for a while, and Nick is invited to his best friend's wedding and decides to bring Rachel as his date, of course. But the wedding is in Singapore, and his family is going to be part of it because their families are really close. They're the kind of where the families that you're friends with are also like your family. And the problem is Rachel has no idea that his family is crazy rich and judgmental, in fact. So she gets the surprise of her life and ends up meeting his crazy eccentric relatives that are really rich. His mom does not like her and feels like she couldn't be part of his world and she's not worthy of him. And she meets all the women who have been interested, who wanted to marry Nick and loved him, and his ex, some of his exes, and just all this crazy stuff happens, and on some, and I almost felt like I could I can't exactly relate because my relatives are not crazy rich, but I do have Asian in my blood, and I'm actually Filipino. But in a very small way, because my grandma's full Filipino, but my grandfather was white. My mom and her brothers are only half, so all of us cousins are only a quarter. But some of the behaviors of, I've kind of seen it. I recognize some of the behaviors of these characters, and it's just very amusing, just to see how these people act. And I've always kind of loved watching movies or reading stories. I should, but more watching movies and TV shows because I don't read enough of that kind of stuff because I'm not a huge contemporary reader. But just rich people, I'm not talking reality shows like the Kardashians, because that stuff I don't care for, but the fictionalized version of it, which Although, funnily enough, I feel like some stories like this are kind of like probably close to what the Kardashians' lives are like. Lavish parties, and people judge if someone who's not rich coming into their lives. People are all thinking, oh, they're a gold digger. But it's just it's so funny to read because I recognize the behaviors and how people talk, and I had no problem hearing that. How people that have not really that don't have the American accent still have their Asian accent. When I read the first book, I read it like that I can easily hear the Asian accent in my head when I was reading it. But the first one was funny, and I can't wait to read the second one. Oh, good! It has a description of all of Nick's friends and relatives in the second book. But yeah. And then the last one is that one's a trilogy, and this last one I have is the 5th book in a series. Again, another middle grade. It's just middle grade always makes me smile and laugh. There's such a whimsiness about middle grade. Some of the behaviors of these, and it's so much more cute when it's a 12-year-old rather than like a 16-year-old. It's for some reason it's a lot cuter. I guess because you still think of them as a kid, even though they're not a kid. You just still kind of I feel bad because I think that adults do look down on when you're like between that preteen years. Adults can do that and look down on you. And I think it's still kind of cute when they're, but this is the 5th book. And like I said, this one makes me feels more like Harry Potter feels rather than there's people said that the Morgan Crow series was like that, but for me, this one has more of the Harry Potter feels. Although that series does kind of have sort of school setting, or at least they haven't really gotten into the school setting, if there's going to be a school one in the Morgan Crow series. But, yeah, this definitely gives me more Harry Potter vibes. And a reviewer, Michael Buckley, says it's a little bit of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a little bit of Lord of the Rings, and a little bit of Harry Potter. But Alice's Adventures in Wonderland kind of is what the Morgan Crow series makes me think of. But like I said, it's just the boys in this series are just so like, you just smile and shake your head at them and their behaviors and just, and what I really appreciate is it does kind of have a little bit of a love square or whatever, or a love octagon or whatever it is, because there's like, the 3 main boys I'm pretty sure all 3 main boys have a crush on Sophie. She likes only one of them, has a major crush on only one of them, but I think she kind of is just developing feelings for another one, but then there's one of her first real friend amongst them that was a boy. He likes her, but she doesn't feel that way about him, I don't think. I mean, to be fair, she spent more time with the other 2 boys than him. But then the boy she's a crush on has a sister who likes the one that I think Sophie's starting to realize her feelings for. So it's kind of confusing. But what I appreciate is that Shannon Messenger is about to say Jessica Townsend. Shannon Messenger is not focused on that in this series. I mean, it's in there, but it's not like, they're focused more on the fact that Sophie has the destiny and the job to do, and she's, I definitely really appreciate that. And now there's 2 new characters. There's another boy character and another girl character. So there's like 3 main girl characters, which I like. But anyway, but yeah, this is just like I said, the series is just fun and whimsical, and that's how like a lot of middle grade, the middle grade I've read so far feels that way. All of them is like very whimsical and very fun. But it's also because I read mostly fantasy middle grade. I don't think because again, I'm not a huge fan of contemporary. I will read more adult contemporary, I guess because I'm an adult. Okay, so, sorry, I know I ramble a lot and just talk about, like, kind of deviate from the main topic. Okay, so fruitcake cookies, I've never tried fruitcake before, not really. I keep thinking it's gonna taste like Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops. That's what I'm thinking fruitcake would taste like. But, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people do not like fruitcake. Like, it's one of the more hated Christmas snacks, Christmas sugar treats. I mean, so I don't know. To be fair, I don't know if I would actually really not like it. Maybe I would. Maybe I'm one of those weirdos who does like it. I don't know. But I'm almost afraid to try it because I don't want to like waste. I don't want them to, waste their money spending on something that I might not like. Although we do have those fruitcake rectangle cakes. I don't know how much those are. But again, I don't want to waste the money, even though, But anyway, the cake that should never have been made into cookie. A book that you could do without. And again, this is another one I just had trouble with. I couldn't think of an answer for it. But although actually I did come up with an answer. I came up with two answers. One is a trilogy, although now I guess it is a series because the author made a fourth book. And then one that is a horror paranormal standalone. So the first one, the one that was a trilogy when I read it, but then now the author's come up with a fourth book, is the Sleeping Beauty trilogy by Anne. I can't say her last name, but it's basically Anne Rice. But under a different pseudonym. And that it's basically a series about if Sleeping Beauty was woken up by a prince who was essentially had sex slaves. And it's just such a horrible. I spent the whole trilogy just getting so angrier and angrier and disturbed by it. I just did not like. I was so annoyed by it. And maybe if you're someone who's into S&M, you might like it, but I did not like it. I was just trying to be adventurous, and someone had recommended it to me. And at first I was like, and I started reading, I was like, I was annoyed by it, but I kept going because I just wanted to see our character Beauty escape this life. But then I found out that in the fourth book, even though she escapes by the third, I think she ends up leaving by the third book. She finally is let go, but by the fourth book, she basically has her own kingdom that does the same thing. Except for they're given a choice. That's the good thing, is that they are given a choice. They don't have to do this. They don't have to be sex slaves or have an S&M type situation. They can just. Now, I don't know a lot about S&M, so this is probably not really S&M, because. Or maybe what Beauty's doing is more S&M, where you have a choice. I mean, I do know with S&M relationship you have a safe word. But and like I said, these people are sex slaves, so. But I hated the story. I don't want to read. I was realizing, okay, I don't want to read about this stuff. I'm not comfortable with it. It just makes me angry and upset. So I was done with the trilogy. Like I said, now it's a series apparently, or at least whatever a story with 4 books is called. And then the next one is the other one I was thinking of is Red Rain by Arlstein, his first foray into the adult. And I realized that, of course, if you first he was just getting into adult fiction, so it was, yeah, it's bound to be rough. But that's one of the few times where I just did not like a book. It was just very much like a Lifetime movie. I mean, it should have been a horror Lifetime movie rather than a book. Basically, this woman comes to South Carolina. She's a travel log blogger. She's coming to South Carolina. Of course, she didn't check and realize that it was hurricane season time, apparently. And there's a hurricane while she's there, a really bad one that is causing a lot of devastation. And she come across two orphan boys who they make me think of Charles Dickens characters. And like everybody else, I was confused by how they talked. It's like a cross between Irish and British or something, like old British. I don't know. I don't remember that well, but I remember it was a little weird. I read it in my head. I read it like Cockney. I didn't even know if that's. But these two boys, she takes them. She's like immediately she falls in love with them. They look like little angels, and she immediately is taken by them, and she decides to adopt them. And I guess the R.L. Stein skipped over the whole adoption process stuff and went straight to her taking them home. The family is a little, the woman's husband and her kids are not so sure about these boys. They're a little creeped out by them. They're a little weirded out by them. And it's just a lot of weird things happen with these boys, and they end up basically hypnotizing the whole town, which is weird and disturbing. But then again, it is a horror novel. But like I said, it reminded me of a Lifetime movie, like a Lifetime horror movie. Except for it wasn't about a teenage girl or a woman, But it actually also reminded me of, just made me think, another thing, it kind of was like taking the plot of, from season 2 of Supernatural, the plot with the little kid, the children, I believe the children are our future, I think it's, or, no, not that one, what was it called? What was that episode called? Something, I can't think of it. I'll remember it after the fact if I'm done filming, but the one with the children are taken over by changelings, or they're kidnapped and taken and the parents are given changeling children, and they suck the lives out of the mothers and then kill people that get in the way, prevent them from getting to the mothers. It's like basically that, but done in a bad way, like a very cheesy Lifetime movie-esque kind of way. But it was really stupid. The book was like, I feel bad because I grew up loving R.L. I was one of the many people who grew up loving R.L. Stein. So I feel like I watched the show more than I read the books. But I did have a collection of the books I ended up getting rid of eventually. But yeah, that book was just bad. And granted, I guess he's gonna, the R.L. Stein would have to put out at least one bad book for his first foray into adult fiction, because like I said, I feel like it's his first time. He started in middle grade and YA, and then now he was going into adult. Although I've seen authors that transition, with that, and they're not bad, or at least I don't hear anything bad about them. So yeah, those are my answers. Okay, so question number 7, the gingerbread house. It's more than just a cookie. It's a masterpiece, which my mom and my nephew made one when they were here for Thanksgiving. It's so cute. And they end up taking, of course, both boys have the sugar bug and kept trying to, the older one kept licking the frosting, and then he would take the little candies off the house to eat them, and then the other one was like, I want it. And we were trying to prevent him from grabbing it. And, you know, we tried to give him at least one or two, but he kept wanting to get up in the lap, my mom's lap, while she was helping build it. And then he would, like, proceed to try to take one of the candies. It was, and then they ended up having to give him the sugar, like the little squeeze tube thingy that you get the icing, and putting some on his, squeezing some of the icing on his finger so he could lick it. But it was so cute. I mean, at the time I was like, no, you gotta save it. Don't take any more. You're bringing it home. But then, you know, thinking about it now, it was just so cute. But anyway, so the question is, the book that has the best writing or world building? Now, I don't know about the best writing, but I focused on the world building, and I picked this series, the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer. Funny story about this edition, though. So when we were moving, I ended up slowly, you know, trying to donate books because, you know, when you move, you don't want to have a whole box, like several boxes of books. You want it, so because you're gonna have to carry those boxes. So I ended up getting, this is one of the series I ended up getting rid of, and actually I gave the series to Larissa, along with a handful of other books for her to choose from. But I ended up rebuying the series. Now here's the funny thing. So this particular edition of the first book, it turns out, see if I can find it. 16, 14. Oh, here. Okay, here it is. So some of the pages, some of the chapters were put in backwards and upside down. Like totally out of order. And I actually ended up asking on my Facebook book-related group what I should do, and someone did say, oh, you should keep it because you never know, it can be worth a lot of money, because a lot of people, for some reason, pay money for these kinds of editions if they're messed up, because apparently they're worth it. And actually there are some things like collector's items type stuff that, like, we were trying to sell a lot of our things, like our Beanie Babies and stuff like that, and like my mom had a collection in a curio cabinet of Barbies, and she was like, and there are some things that where if it's a certain type of edition with a certain, like, thing on the tag or something, or certain, like, on the, you know, like certain DVDs and stuff, VHS tapes and stuff have a little certain thing on them, or they're somewhat altered, then you can get money off of them, because there are people that will collect that kind of stuff, I guess. And like we had, you know, there was a few things like that they were able to sell on eBay, and like, so the person who responded said they could get away with doing that with this book if I ever wanted to. But I'm not gonna sell this because I bought it for a second time for a reason. So I mean, and it's not like, you know, it's still in there. It's the chapters are still in there. They're just, it's out of, like, it's out of context. It's out of order. So I would have to find it. But it's in there. It's in the story. But this was basically a sci-fi retelling of fairy tales, and this first one is Cinderella, who is a cyborg. She was in a fire that resulted in having these scientists to rebuild her body parts as, like, robot parts. But I don't know how she gets a stocking, how she wears, I mean, and how is what I'm guessing is supposed to be a stocking, but how would you get a stocking on your leg? Especially if you have a leg like this, you know, how would you hold up a stocking? How would you have a stocking on there? I guess you pin it. But anyway, so yeah, it's such a cool, like, established version of the world of different countries. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Although there wasn't an apocalypse or anything, it was just like war happened. But just the whole, and the fact that it's a sci-fi retelling, you don't see that often. I've never really come across like sci-fi retellings of fairy tales since. Although now I'm starting to see it more since the Lunar Chronicles. I will say that, like, there is Jane Steele, which is kind of not a sci-fi, but it's kind of like a Jane Eyre retelling where Jane is an assassin. I'm trying to think if there's actually any ones that are sci-fi related, but just this whole world, this version of the world is just such a cool concept. And it's actually doesn't seem like that bad of a world. But anyway, okay, so next question is cookies baked especially for Santa. Share a book you plan on reading this holiday season. And I just grabbed all the ones I'm thinking about reading this holiday season. First I'll show you the one I'm currently reading. And I'm not going to include my library books because, you know, that's just a given. Of course I'm going to read them. This is Gregory Maguire's version of the origin story of the Nutcracker. I love Gregory Maguire. I know, like, I was looking at reviews on Goodreads and people where, like, there were some not so positive reviews of it. But, I mean, I've read Gregory Maguire's, like, I read Mirror, Mirror, Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister, and then, of course, the first 3 books in the Wicked series, which I'm slowly rebuying those because I did, I never got to Out of Oz. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to read this, I'm done with the series, it was great. And you could technically, I think you could read each book as a standalone. So I decided, and then I ended up changing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out, I'm gonna reread it, because I did really love it, especially Wicked. And I think part of the problem is my first reading, A Lion Among Men, I just didn't like it as much as the other 2. But I'm gonna keep going with it. Like, I bought mass market editions, so it's not the cool cover editions of the original versions of his books. Like, he has the dust jacket, and then what's nice is that his the hardback editions are not blank. They're not blank when you take the dust jacket off. Because that's why I don't like taking dust jackets off, because I don't like when they're blank, when there's nothing on them, on the covers. But, so it's not that kind of, my editions of Wicked are not that copy anymore, but, like, in fact, Wicked is actually the musical poster is the cover. But it does have colored pages, which is really cool. But I'm reading this one right now. I'm liking it. Like I said, I know what I'm going to get into when it comes to Gregory Maguire. So, and I personally like it. I feel like with him, you either love him or you hate it. You either love his work or you hate his work. So I'm in the middle of that one, and then I'm also hoping to read another Gregory Maguire book, Lost, which is a historical fiction. It's not a fairy tale retelling, but it does involve, like, our main character's grandfather. Okay, yeah, her great-great-grandfather is the inspiration for Scrooge, or might have been the inspiration for Ebenezer Scrooge. And there's also, there might be a possibility of Jack the Ripper's ghost being in the story, too. So it's a little different, it's more focused on literature rather than in historical, like, But I like how his paperbacks, even if they have this, like, because they're not hardback, so they can't do the whole book. They can't do it like hardback ones, but they do have this. So they have it like this, and then you open it in this, which is really, that's how his paper books are. His regular paperbacks, not the mass market paperbacks. Although the mass market paperbacks have the original covers, except for the one I got for Wicked, because that was made into a musical. So it has the musical poster cover. But and then I'm hoping to get to okay, well at least. Okay, my books just fell. At least the bookmark. I hate it when some of those. That's the only problem with the smaller bookmarks is they tend to. If your book falls, the bookmark will fall out of the book. But that's what's nice about the one I have in here is one of those hard wood bookmarks, and then I like the magnetic bookmarks. They stay. Let's see. But I'm also hoping to finally get back into Elantris. I need to read some of it today. I might go to the bookstore today after I film this. But I might need to make a sandwich for myself. I think I gotta do that first. Make a quick sandwich because I'm getting hungry. And then I'm moving to get into Elantris, and this one I decided to read first before I read Warbreaker. Because this one is not a favorite among Brandon Sanderson fans. And they say this one is very, like, it's his first book that he ever wrote. Not the first one he ever published, but the first one he ever wrote. And I figured I would like to start that one first. Go ahead and start this one and get this read. And I don't mean it to come off as, oh, let's just get this one done and over with. But, I mean, the way I kind of mean it like that, like, I just want to get this one read first, and then read, because I'm someone who likes to read try the best stuff, or the favorite stuff, last, and read this, and get the stuff that I'm not as big of a fan of, get that taken care of first, and that's how I am with food, as well, like, get my favorite parts of the meal. I mean, now that doesn't necessarily mean I'll eat that doesn't mean I'll eat them, like, I'll save the main course. If the main course is my favorite, I'll still eat what is considered the main course first. But there are some situations, like with the side dishes and stuff, I'll eat the side dishes that I don't love as much, or the side dishes that I hate, but I feel like, okay, I should probably eat this because I'm a good little girl and will eat the food that my mom put on my plate, even if I don't like it as much. But again, when she becomes an adult, it's like, or a teenager, I guess, people will be like, you know what, you're not a kid. I don't have to control what you eat. If you don't like it, don't eat it. You don't have to eat it. We're not going to make you eat it. Like, I feel like people do that with kids, but they don't, if you're an adult and you have to be living with your parents, they're not going to be like, you have to eat this. If you don't eat this, you're not going to get any supper. Because, I'm a grown woman. Although, my grandma still kind of is like, if I say I don't like something, and if it's like something that's considered healthy, then she'll be like, but this is good for you. It's healthy. Like, I'll eat nuts, but I don't like them mixed in stuff. And I'm trying to think of what's another food that I like. Oh, this is going to make me even more hungry the more I talk about this. I'm trying to think of there's another food that I'm not a big fan of, or I just like it, I don't like it a certain way, or I like it a certain way, that she'll say, oh, but it's good for you. Like, she's tried when, like certain vegetables and fruit and stuff, or not vegetables, again, I love most vegetables. I even like beets. Although sometimes they taste like vinegar, have a vinegary taste. But I'm trying to think of what's another. I can't think of it. But there's another food that I can be a little picky about that my grandma's like, but it's good for you. But anyway, back to this. So and of course my mass markets are the ones that I take with me to work. But again, as I said before, I only get 50 minutes to read it, so I only get through like a page or two. So I want to read a lot today, or read a decent amount today of this book. So I'll probably bring it with me to the bookstore. And then so the other ones, I want to read more of this one, Rose. This is the next Stephen King I chose to read, although I do have the book that they're reading on the Goodreads group that they're reading for this month. I do have it, so I could start it. I could read it. And that's The Outsider, one of his newer books. That's the one that, what is her name? I just watched her video yesterday. Melissa from Binge Reader. That's the book she chose, The Outsider. So and again I have it, so I could start it, but I'm trying to read his shorter books first. Like next year, starting in January, I want to start reading his short story, more of his short stories, or his novellas, or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I want to get this finished. But this is basically about a woman that is abused. It's not a very Christmassy story, by the way. A woman who is abused, and she finally leaves her husband, and he's this police officer, so he can easily set out to find her. So it's easy for him to go and find her, and she stays with a one of those places that help battered women, and when she's there, she tries to pawn her ring off, which turns out to be a fake. Total and while she's at the pawn shop, she sees a mysterious painting that she finds herself drawn to, and immediately decides to buy it. And and according to the description, it sounds like something's gonna happen with this painting. But anyway, so that's not the summary necessarily, obviously, but that is what I've read so far of the book. So it's not a Christmassy, warm, fuzzy, happy story, but I want to read it. It's the next Stephen King I'm choosing to read. But first, I want to, my goal is to get Hidden Sea done before Christmas, because around Christmas time, we are going to go to South Carolina. I was spend Christmas with my grandma. And then, dang it. Okay, I just realized one of the decorative ornament ball just fell off my tree. I have a little mini tree. Can you see it? There. See it? No. I have headphones right here. Okay. So, yeah, I have a mini tree, and I noticed one of the little balls fell off. I guess when Rascal probably jumped down after hearing my dad came home. So yeah, that's the next Stephen King I want to read, that I want to finish. And then, it feels like I've read it a lot more times than I have this particular series, but that's because I've watched the movie, and it's such a popular series, so everybody talks about it constantly on the internet. But I did finally last year, or in 2018, I did start a reread of the series. I don't know if it was 2019 or 2018. But I finally got around to reading book 7 of this series, and I am talking about Harry Potter, of course, for a reread. So I did finally start reading the 7th book for the second time. But as you know, I've once again stopped, so I want to get back into reading it, so I feel like I need to. I almost wish I had audiobooks with Harry Potter. I have the 5th one on audiobook, and then years ago someone let me borrow the other audiobooks of the other books in the series. But it was just a borrowing, so I had to give it back to that person, and but I wish I had that. Then I could easily take, because I still have a Walkman, that I use. Yes, I still have a Walkman that I use when I travel, because my parents aren't going to want to listen to that. You know, my mom would rather listen to talk radio. Dr. Laura. And then my dad wants... Okay! Dr. Laura. And my dad wants to listen to music he grew up with. You know, his 70s and 60s tunes. Which I definitely like that better than having to listen to talk radio. But, so, yeah, they're not going to listen to Harry Potter. But, like I said, I have a Walkman, so I could listen to Harry Potter via that if I ever got them. One day, maybe I will buy them for myself. One day. I mean, what I would like to, if I, but anyway, so that's what I want to read this month. We got 2 more questions to go. Don't worry, just 2 more questions. Okay, so cookie swap. What's your favorite holiday cookie? And if you like that, share the recipe or link to the recipe in the description box. Okay, so when I was thinking about the sugar cookies, I also remember another one of my favorite cookies is a butter cookie that they had on, not Auntie Anne. Auntie Anne's the place with the pretzels. There was another cookie place in the mall we used to go to in Maryland. I can't remember what that place is called, but they had butter cookies, but I just love them. I love those over sugar cookies. But it's probably not the best cookie for me, but I always got them. I used to, those used to be some of my favorite. But as far as holiday cookies go, other than sugar cookies, my other favorite cookie, and don't be fooled by the name of this cookie, okay, it's still not healthy, but wheat germ cookies that my mom makes every year. Like I said, do not be fooled by the name. They're actually really good. They're these vanilla cookies, vanilla extract cookies that are just so good. I love them, and I would be very much in danger. Like, I hope my mom makes them this year. I mean, I'll have to talk to her soon. Like, hopefully she'll make them before we go to South Carolina. Maybe even make them when we go to Virginia, because we are going to go to Virginia in January, at the end of January, the first week of January, we're going to that's going to be our sort of after Christmas with my sister, because, I mean, she's got little ones. We got to spend Christmas. We got to try to spend Christmas with them we got to, like, with little ones, you just want to try to, even though they do kind of a back and forth, like, we go back and forth between my brother-in-law's family and then our family for each of the holidays, but my mom can't stay away, and so after Christmas we go up there to spend time with them spend some time with them, a few days, kind of have our own little after Christmas. Okay, so, but yeah, the wheat germ cookies are so good. And again, I know it says wheat germ, but they're actually really good, and they're not healthy for you. They're full of a lot of vanilla, they're full of sugar, and, they're vanilla extract cookies. But they're just so good. Especially when they first come out of the oven. But that's with most cookies. That's like with all cookies, when they come out of the oven, fresh out of the oven, they're so good. And then question number 10, of course, glass of milk to wash it all down. What's your favorite holiday drink? I really like apple cider. And I really love hot chocolate. But, I mean, what person doesn't love those two? Or at least the hot chocolate, anyway. I don't know about the apple cider. And mulled wine is pretty good, too, for us adults. I do like mulled wine. My parents used to go to they've been to Germany a few times. And, they would go to the Christmas market. Personally, I didn't get to go with them. I don't think they like traveling. They would like the idea of traveling with me to Europe, because that's a long flight. And I don't do well with long flights. I mean, they would need to give me like a Valium or like a Benadryl so that, you know, I'll be knocked out during the flight, because I do not like a long flight. I do not do long flights. But that will mean I can't drink anything, because then it'll make me go pee. But the problem is then you get really thirsty after you eat something. So I can't eat or drink anything if I go on a long flight, because then I'll have to. I don't know why I get like almost a little plain sick and restless after being on a flight for that long. But yeah, they've been to those Christmas, like winter time in Germany or Christmas time in Germany, and just the way they describe it, it's so magical. They have all these, you know, the German Christmas trees, which that's the tree we put up this year, because since they're spending Christmas with my brother-in-law's family this year, so we, you know, my mom and I had talked about putting the German Christmas tree up, which is really cool. It's like this, I can't show it to you because I have to bring my computer all the way downstairs, but it's like this like wooden display with, you know, you have different levels and you can design it however you want. Like you can, it's really cute. But so they got mulled wine when they were there, and I tried that. I remember really, it was actually pretty good. I liked it. But anyway, okay, now done rambling. So I'm gonna end this really quickly. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already liked the video, and I hope you're enjoying your reading. And feel free to do this tag if you haven't done it already, or even if you did do it last year, you can do it again this year, because there's always, with these kinds of tags, I feel like you can always come up with a different answer. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye!